letters and names, packed up our lives and began once again. We serve in the shadows, we carry the weight with stories that matter, don't let them wait. Every story matters, from bases to war zones, from tearful reunions to cold nights alone.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. It's just another day in the life as a military wife, and I know we've got a new sound thanks to the new theme song intro that you just heard. But mostly today, I want to talk to you about an amazing military spouse who had the opportunity to raise her family for a short time in Korea, including having a baby in Korea. And since more and more families are being sent to Korea, this information may be of help to you or someone you know. And if not, it just might be information you'll enjoy if you like to hear about travel and what it's like to live in other parts of the world. So, as always, I'm your host, Sam Wolf, and this is Life of a Military Wife. All right. And so, why don't you introduce yourself really quickly, and then we'll start talking about your family's experience in Korea.
Okay, I'm Ann Lindner. My husband and I have been married for 23 years this year. He was active duty military Army when we got married, and he retired 5 years ago.
Wow. So, you guys have been enjoying the civilian side.
A little bit. It's stressful, but in a different way.
Yeah. I feel like life is always going to be a little stressful, and you just have to find the happiness where you're at.
That's the key.
Yep. So, how long ago were you guys in Korea?
We got to Korea. Now I have to do math. That's very rude of you in the morning. We got to Korea in 2013.
Okay.
So he got there before we did. We actually missed Christmas that year. He got there in October of 2012. And then we got there in January of 2013. So
Okay.
he was able to get there a couple months before we did.
So, what was the process like? Were there passport things, vaccine things? Like, what delayed you guys following him?
We had to get EFMP approval. Our daughter is dyslexic, and so we had to make sure that the school there could handle her special needs. And so we had to go through the EFMP system, the Exceptional Family Member Program, to make sure that they could accommodate the things that she needed in the education over in the DoD schools.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. EFMP is a huge thing whenever there's OCONUS moves, especially. So,
Yes.
that makes sense. Did you guys, were there any other things that like threw you off or you weren't expecting that maybe people who are looking or in this position of having or prepping for it might want to heads up on?
We had what my mother refers to as an arsenal. We had our own personal supply of weaponry, and if we had it to do over again, we would just take it to a family member to have it stored, because the military does pay to store your things, and they pay to ship your things to that storage facility. But somehow, in the interim, the box labeled "This is the weapons" got lost.
Oh my.
We did not know it was lost until we returned home 2 years later. And by that time, all statute of limitations was gone, and the police in the place we moved to said it's not their jurisdiction, and the police in the place we moved from said it's not their jurisdiction. So all we could do is file a report and say these were the serial numbers that are now out there.
Oh, goody.
So
That's terrifying.
don't trust the government with that particular piece of storage, would be my advice.
You'd think that military movers might be trust. Yeah, don't trust. I'm sorry.
Never trust the
trust
military movers ever. I watched them empty a piggy bank into a piece of paper that they were going to pack into the box. And then when I went to look back into that same box, the piggy bank was the contents of the piggy bank were missing. And my husband said something to them that he wouldn't call the police if that appeared again. and the contents of the piggy bank plus two cigarettes and a movie ticket appeared.
Huh. That's good to know. Okay, also be willing to threaten movers if they steal things.
Uh-huh.
Oh my
Watch them
gosh.
always. That was
Oh yeah. Well,
always,
the thing is,
always.
some of them are great and honest and
Yeah.
wonderful, but you never know
Never know
because,
which one you've got.
yeah, you don't know if you got the crazies or if you got the good guys. So
Exactly.
supervise. Good. That's a good
Trust but
point.
verify.
Supervise your
Trust but
movers.
verify.
You trust but verify. Yes, I love that phrase. Very good way of putting it. Um, so yeah, that's a good thing to be aware of. So
Mm.
yeah, if you're traveling and moving to Korea, probably don't bring your firearms.
Oh, you can't bring your firearms, but put them somewhere
Yeah,
that
send
before
them
the
to
movers get
family.
there.
Yeah, send them
Leave
to
them with
family.
family.
Yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, it probably would have been cheaper too, because did the army charge you to store them?
No, the army doesn't charge for storage of your household goods while you're overseas. They have that covered for you, and
Mhm.
then when you get back, you have a certain amount of time to get it back from the storage before they start charging you. I think it's 90 days, or it was when I was there.
Okay.
And so the storage itself was paid for. It was not a problem. It was just a matter of we didn't know until 2 years had passed that something was missing.
Yeah. Oh, goody, 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 goody. All right. So, did you have kids when you went to Korea? Well, you had your
Yes.
daughter. How many
So
kids did you? What was it like? So you said, okay, pause. Let me
okay,
wrap
start again.
my head around the question I'm trying to get to. When you were trying to set up schools, were you guys going to be living on the economy or on the military?
So in Korea, where we were, there was no on base housing. So we had to live on the economy in Korea. But there was an on base school up till eighth grade. So as long as you didn't have a high schooler, you could send your kids to the school on base.
Okay.
I did have my two oldest kids go to the DoD school on the base. We were at Camp Casey, which is in the north of
Hmm.
Korea. Um, and the school there was not what I wanted for my children. And so I ended up pulling them out of the school and homeschooling.
That is understandable because not every school is going to be a good fit for every kid, and they kind of just have to hit the average, and that's not you have to do what's best for your kid. It's not an insult to them. I'm sure they're trying, but you as a parent, it's important to be aware. And that's one thing in general for military families. It's okay if one duty station they go to a military school and it's great, and another duty station they go to a public school and it's great, and then maybe they go to a charter school and then maybe they're homeschooled at another place or it's a private school. They can change their educational type at every duty station and still get
Yep,
a quality education as long as you are paying attention to that and making sure there's a overall connective arc to their
exactly.
education. It means more work for us as parents, but I mean, there are kids, so they're worth it.
Well, and it's definitely important to be involved enough in their education that you're aware of any gaps that are happening so that if you need to fill in a gap or if you need to bring someone in to help or if you need to have a conversation with the administration, that can happen before 3 years go by and your kid can't spell.
Yes. And because kids in the military do transfer from school to school to school with a higher frequency than the average American kid, that means gaps are more possible of occurring. And so thank you. That is a really important thing for parents, especially if they're going out of country, because educational systems do vary widely from
They
state to
do.
state and country to country, especially.
Yep.
So, when you guys got there and you were getting settled, was it easy to find a place? Did your husband find it for you before you got there?
So my husband was able to get us an apartment before we got there. There was a process that he had to go through because we were living on the economy. And so there was a specific, they call it a real estate agency that he had to go through to rent an apartment for us. We were on the fifth floor of a 15-floor building, and there were seven military families in our complex. Um, and so we were able to have that kind of, we're the American community in that little complex. But a lot of the friends that I made because we were all the military spouses together kind of clustered together, even though some of us lived further than others. We were all in the same town, so it was just a bus ride away.
That makes sense. And it's good that you were able to find a realtor, someone who understood your needs and was able to get you in a community where you and your kids would have people who they could communicate with because it's a
Yeah.
foreign country with a foreign language. And also that you were able to, build that the camaraderie and the support system you need to deal with
Yes.
military crazy.
And it was always interesting. One of the differences between here and Korea is that when you're in Korea, you pay your rent in cash. And in Korea, the money is about 100 times less than here. So one of our dollars is about 100 of their won. And so rent was a million won or 15 million, 1.5 million won. And so we had to go to the money exchange with our rent in American cash, exchange that for a million won, and walk down the street holding a million won in our pocket to pay our rent. And the first time that happened, I was terrified because I'm walking around with a pot of dollars in my pocket. And by the end of it,
Yeah.
it was like, it's just Thursday because nothing ever happens there. Their crime rate is incredibly low.
Oh, well, that's really good to hear.
Yeah, it was by the time we left, I was like, oh, I've got money hanging out of my pocket again. I hate it when that happens. I got back to America and I'm like, oh, right, I have to be careful now. Heck.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably not something to do here in the
Yeah,
US
don't
as
do that
much.
here.
No, don't do that here. So, when you were getting there and just dealing with all this stuff, medical, was it easy to find doctors? Were you able to go on post? Did you have to go with Korean medical system? What did you do for medical?
We did a little of both. While we were there, all of our regular healthcare was done on base. Actually, our friend was one of the doctors, one of the pediatricians. And so we were able to be seen on base for all of the routine things. But when I started having some more difficult health difficulties, I went to a Korean doctor and they billed TRICARE and I didn't have a copay or anything like that.
Oh,
But the I had to have a meeting with the administrator of the hospital before they could do any of the tests or any of the things so that they could make sure I understood what was expected of me at the doctor's appointment because the doctors and
okay.
nurses were not going to be able to speak English and Google Translate only gets you so far.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Translation. What was it like interacting with people for things like medical where you couldn't ask questions or
Fortunately for me, the specialist that I went to see, the doctor spoke English really well. The nurses did not, but the doctor was able to communicate with me in English. So that was nice. And he was able to explain the new diagnosis and the tests that they were doing and things like that. Um, and the medicine, when they give you medicine, have you seen the medicine that comes in like it's a box with a roll in it and you take out a packet a day, like the vitamin pills?
oh,
That's how they
okay.
do
Well, I've
medicine
seen that
there.
in like cartoons, but I've not seen that in like real life.
So that's how
Wow.
they do medicine. Like he was like, okay, here's a month of the medicine, and it was in individual plastic, like you take vitamin pills, not the bubble like Sudafed, but individual little
Yeah.
plastic on a roll. It was fascinating.
That is interesting. Well, I mean, I guess it
And then,
might be
I got the
easier to keep.
prescription refilled on the base, and it was a bottle of pills, just like it always is here.
Yeah. So you were able to do stuff both ways though.
Yeah,
What about your pregnancy? Were you able to have that covered on post or did you need to do that on the economy? Because you said you had a kid while you were in
I
Korea.
did. I did have a baby while I was there, and um, I was able to have all of my OB care taken care of in Seoul, which meant I had to ride the train 2 hours to get to the doctor for my OB care.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
but I enjoyed riding the train, and so I was not upset. But the base in Seoul was where I actually had my baby. Um, and then the culture in Korea is very different around babies. And
Okay.
so in America, when you have a baby and you're ready to go home, they send you home. In Korea, you're kept at the hospital for 10 days before you're allowed to go home. And in the hospital there, your family brings you your meals and clean clothes and sheets and towels and things. And so they don't have that at the hospital when you go to have a baby in Korea. My friend had to have hers out in the Korean hospital because she had some complications. And so she was like,
Oh
it's
my.
weird. And they wouldn't let me go home. I was like, I mean, they're taking care of you.
Wait, so you're stuck in the hospital for 10 days,
And
but they don't feed you. They don't give you, and so what if your family's not nearby?
I don't know.
Okay, this is why you make army friends, people. See, this is why
This
we
is
go
why you
back to
have
the
your army
community
family.
thing.
This is exactly why.
This is why you have your people.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I never knew that. See, this is a good thing to talk about. So but you had your baby in a military
Yes. So I had
facility.
my baby on the military base. Um, I did have to have a C-section, so they kept me in the hospital for a few extra days because C-section. But when I left, the people I had to ride the train home with a newborn baby, and so the people on the train were scolding me in Korean for having a newborn baby on the train because you don't take your baby out in public for like a month or two after they're born. Because I
You're
mean, they don't
gonna
have an
take my
immune
kid.
system.
Yeah.
So I was getting scolded in Korean for having a newborn on the train.
Eh, you
But
don't know
that's
the
how I
language
get
anyway.
home.
It's like my baby's gotta get home somehow.
Right? So yeah,
Oh my goodness. Well, see, that's the thing. It really is a different culture.
it really
So,
is.
speaking of that, what was one of the things you and your kids and family really enjoyed about experiencing a new culture?
My kids loved trying to pronounce the words. Um, so there's there's a joke that happens that uh, someone came to Korea and they mispronounced the greeting 안녕하세요, which is hello, and would say 안아주세요, which is may I have a hug, please. So they would say may I have a hug please to people and the person would give them a hug and their response was man these Koreans are so friendly. And so my son heard that joke, and because he is who he always has been, he would say that on purpose, knowing what it meant, and get hugs from Korean
Oh my,
people.
that's very sweet of them to still give him hugs and not just think he was, well, they probably still thought he was crazy, but oh my
He was just
gosh.
a cute little blonde kid. They said he was cute. It's fine.
Yeah, you know what? Little kids, especially
Little kids get
adorable
away
little
with so
American
much.
kids, they can get away with so much.
They really do.
Yeah, but we're still stateside, and my kids, all they had to do was flash their dimples, and people like with their
Yep.
little smiles, and everyone's like, "Oh, here, do you want candy?" I'm like, "No, they're fine."
They're fine. Thank you. That is something that, uh, so in Korea, old lady and grandmother are ajuma.
Okay.
And so whenever there's an ajuma on the train, she always hands the kids candy. Always.
Oh, wow. So they got spoiled.
They got, well, the candy's not always good. Sometimes it's that weird ginseng candy that the kids are like, Mom, it tastes like fire. It
Okay, that's hysterical.
was
That is
great. It
awesome.
was great. I was like, well, that's what you get for begging for candy, you punk. Get out of here.
Leave the old ladies alone.
Right? Yeah, it was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Were there any like foods that did your kids adapt well to food? Because kids can be picky eaters.
Oh, yeah. My kids still love Korean food. We have bulgogi several times a month.
That's so fun.
They
That's
loved
got to
it.
be awesome to be able to explore the different
Hmm.
cultures and stuff. If there was anything you wish you could go back and tell, past self, hey, watch out for this besides the guns and stuff, like, hey, do this differently or try this, or I wish I had done that, what would that be?
Go see more things. And it was always, oh, next month we're going to go see a thing. And then next month comes and it's, oh, next month we're going to go see the thing. And it just never happened. So I would encourage me, even though it's with kids and it's a nightmare with kids and it's traveling with kids and the kids love it and the old people love seeing the little blonde kids, just go. It would have been so much better.
That's good advice. I think sometimes we do talk ourselves into being hermits and not
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the places where we're stationed as much as
Yep.
we really could. So thank you for that bit. We're going to be wrapping up in a bit, but I know because you were telling me earlier that you have your own business now
I do.
and love supporting military families and all of our crazy side hustles and stuff we do. So why don't you go and share what you're doing now, post military life, and your cool little business?
Okay, so I have a small batch handmade soap business that I started as a way to supplement our retirement income. I make all of the soaps here in my basement studio. I have a website that is dandelionfarmsmo.com, and I am able to sell anywhere in the United States. Foreign countries have kind of different laws about how soap is made. Um, we named it Dandelion Farms because my husband and I are both military brats, and all five of our kids are military brats. And the flower is the flower, and the dandelion is the flower of the military child. And so we all thought that dandelion would be the perfect name for our little farm.
I love that. I think that's fabulous because, well, again, April is the month of the military
April
child,
is the month
which
of the
is
military child.
not too long past. And it's really cool that you have that shared thing with your kids that you understand where they're coming from as military kids because you've been there too,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're able to then make that kind of a family thing, if your family little symbol almost.
Yeah.
So what type of soaps do you have? Like, what's your favorite? What's your biggest seller?
The single fragrance, single color soaps are popular, like lavender and pine. But I also do very pretty decorative soaps. Like I have one called Apple Orchard that is really fall and fresh and sweet. And I have one called Aurora that looks like the Aurora Borealis on a dark night. And the fragrance is actually called The Perfect Man.
Oh my goodness.
And
That
it
sounds like a
smells
really great scent.
amazing. Best
I mean,
seller.
I could ask you what the perfect man smells like, but that might be hard to describe.
It smells amazing. That's what it smells like.
Yes, of course, because the perfect man always smells amazing, right?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you are doing that with your family and you've got this, new experience that your new adventure that you're on.
Hmm.
Um, Thank you for being willing to share this information. Like I say often with my other interviews, yes, I've been in the military now for 11 years. We've been a military family for 11 years.
Nice.
However, I don't know everything about the military. I know what I've been through. I know what I've learned from other people. But the more we can share our experiences with each other, the better we can be prepared and just help support each other through the crazy. So,
Absolutely.
if you could give any advice in general, not Korea specific, but just in general, to a new military spouse, what would you want to say?
I would give two pieces of advice. Your rank is not your husband's rank or your wife's rank. Theirs is their own, and you outrank them.
Thank you. I agree. We tell someone asked, they're like, wait, does your wife wear the stripes at home? And my husband's like, yes, she does.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, because we have to. When they're gone, we've got to be able to hold down the fort.
We
So,
are in charge.
yep. Okay. wrapping up really quick, finishing because I just thought of it. Funny story. Funniest. Did you have any funny anecdotes from Korea
My
to finish
funniest
off?
anecdote also involves the baby. Um,
Okay.
the attitudes towards modesty in Korea are very different, and breastfeeding is not something that they hide or cover up. And so one day I was on the train with the baby, and it was about food time, and I was trying to covertly get him to feed. And this little Ajima walked up and she grabbed hold of my shirt, pulled it up onto my shoulder so that there was plenty of room for the baby to breathe, and then announced to the rest of the train that the baby was eating now so that it would be quiet.
Oh, wow. Well, at least they
It's a
care. At least they're
different country.
supportive. Dude, I have tried to feed my kids and I've had friends try to breastfeed in America and people are like, why don't you go to the bathroom? I'm like, do you want to eat your food in the
You
bathroom?
want to eat your lunch in the bathroom? Gross. No.
So, hey, at least they're supportive of breastfeeding. That
They
is
are very
fabulous.
supportive of breastfeeding. It was
Way to go,
fabulous.
Korea. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having like just doing this and being willing. I'm grateful. I reached out because a lot of families are heading to Korea right now, like I was
Yes.
saying before. And so it seemed like an apropos topic. And I was trying to find someone who was willing to come on. And a friend of mine, who's a friend of
Hmm.
yours, hooked our, got us all connected and hooked up on
Made the
this. And I
connections.
appreciate. Thank you. As I said before, I'm grateful that Anne was able to take time out of her busy schedule to share her life experience in Korea and what her family went through so that any of you who are preparing for PCSs to Korea or just like to travel or learn more about different cultures and countries were able to gain information and be enlightened through this little conversation of ours. And in all sincerity, that is part of what this is all about. I would love to just be able to share the stories of these amazing military families I have been blessed to know, but not just the ones I know. Every military family, every veteran, every Gold Star family, all of you have important messages to share to uplift and inspire not only the military community, but those who want to understand the military community better. So thank you for all of the support and encouragement I get from members of the military community and from the general public. We cannot do this without you. So please remember to like, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithm, leave a comment below because those sorts of things help get these stories out into the wider world for people to hear so that they can gain encouragement and support through that. If you happen to be a veteran, a Gold Star family, a military spouse, or you have resources that you feel would be beneficial to the military community, please reach out. Let me know. I want to share those because there are so many powerful stories waiting to be told out there, and we cannot let them get lost. You'll never know the strength your story could give to someone until you share it. I've seen it firsthand. So come on, let's build this community and let's support each other. Thank you for all of, again, the support you give me. And let's remember to be the good we want to see in the world. As always, I'm your host, Sam Wolf, and you've been listening to Life of a Military Wife.
Spouses and veterans, hearts that won't quit, telling the truth about all of it. This life we live is hard and real, giving a voice to the lives that we live. But this life we live is warm but strong, and every story deserves its song.